Draw 7 TV, welcome back. Matt here with you, and we're bringing you another tabletop match here on Draw 7 TV on YouTube. And so happy to have you alongside. It's been a while. We've been very, very busy over the last month, so we've not been able to put out any content, but I will tell you now, we've got some pretty cool content on the way in terms of both video and audio form, so be on the lookout for that. On the left-hand side, we have Shane graciously playing his Whimsicott Zygarde Minior deck. Yeah, you heard me right. Whimsicott Zygarde Minior deck. And on the right-hand side, Mason is playing his Metagross deck, which is a deck that's been hyped now for a few months. We've seen some play at internationals and some other tournaments as well, and placing fairly high at a few events, so it'll be interesting to see what this deck does moving forward. So we thank Mason for showing us what he's got here with his Metagross deck. All right, so here we go. Shane begins. He will level ball, looking to get out possibly Minior there, I would assume, and yes, he'll set the Minior down on the bench. And Mason starts with Tapu Lele GX, which, unlike Shaman, at least in my opinion, Tapu Lele isn't necessarily the worst start in the world. I would much rather start with Tapu Lele than Shaman. Of course, Shaman going out of standard. All right, so Shane gets those two cards down and will pass turn. A Beldum goes onto the bench now, and Mason will bridge it. This new combination of Tapu Lele into Bridget is really just out of nowhere, but makes a lot of sense. In this situation, he doesn't have to Tapu Lele. He has the Bridget in hand. He'll grab a second Beldum and an Alolan Vulpix on the bench there, and then a third Beldum as well. So this Metagross deck, you'll notice, needs to get set up pretty quick, all things considered, and once it does get set up, the combination of moving these energies around is really cool. And Max Potion, my favorite card in the game, also plays a very vital role in making this deck work correctly and most efficiently as well. All right, so Mason is shuffling his hand back after that Bridget. I couldn't see his hand, so I'm not sure if he has the supporter for next turn. I would assume so, or at least a few cards that he can play either on this turn or next turn, setting up hopefully a Metagross in the next few turns. And it does look like he does have a Metagross in there. He's going to retreat the Tapu Lele, bring up the Vulpix, and of course Vulpix's ability allows him to, or not ability, but rather attack. It's a free attack. It allows him to search for two Pokemon in his deck and put it in his hand. He does have to reveal those, so I would assume he's going to grab a few Matangs here. Could grab a Matang and another Tapu Lele, but he goes for two Matangs as expected. All right, passes turns. Whimsicott comes out now. Now, Whimsicott is a pretty cool card. So what it does is, for a colorless energy, it allows you to attack with that, but it doesn't do any damage. What it does is it says your opponent's next turn, or your next turn, if you knock out one of your opponent's Pokemon, you take 2 extra prize cards, which is absolutely crazy and something that I didn't see coming. So congrats to Shane on kind of digging a little bit deeper there and finding a cool card with an interesting attack. Shane gets down a Regirock EX, the ability adding 10 more damage from your attacking fighting Pokemon. So Zygarde now will be hitting just a little bit more, as he did set that Bricklet Hill down. Max Elixir for the fighting energy. It looks like he's going to attach it to that Minior. Now, Minior kills itself, but it does 190 on the way out, and your opponent does get to take a prize card, but that 190, and if you have a choice band on there at 220, is a pretty hefty attack, especially playing a deck like Metagross. Attaches the special fighting energy to Zygarde, and we'll take the knockout here on the Vulpix, and looks like he got a level ball off of the prizes. Mason promotes the Tapu Lele now. Of course, he's not wanting to get those Beldums in fighting range by any means. Gets a rare candy out and a Metagross. So, okay, so Mason's actually look like he's in pretty good shape here. This is what you need to do with this deck. You need to try to get a Beldum out, or rather a Metagross out on turn 2 if possible. And he does so indeed. So his next turn could be very explosive. Shane gets turned now and will play a level ball. Let's see what he's going to grab out of here. Grabs another Cottony. He does have the Brooklet Hill on the board as well. Mason can't take advantage of that, but it will help Shane moving forward. All right, so it looks like he's got a VS Seeker in hand, a few Fighting Energy as well. Puts a Fighting Energy down there on Zygarde. Shane's debating here if he should play the VS Seeker, I'm assuming. He does have that Sycamore, I believe, in the discard, so that could be a play. He would be getting rid of a few energies. Also to note, he does have a few proxy cards in here as well, so we do apologize for that. You'll see coming up, hopefully in the next set of videos we're doing, we're getting ready for Burning Shadows. So I got Gardevoir GX built, and I know Corey has a deck build as well, a Noivern deck. Caden's got a deck as well, with a Alolan Muck, and so on and so forth. So we'll be putting some Burning Shadows stuff here on the page. Puts an EXP share down under Minior, gets another energy on Minior there, so getting him set up. Fighting Fury Belt, Choice Band, looks like he also got a Max Elixir there as well. Decides to take the Choice Band. I would assume he would attach it here to the Zygarde. I believe his attack would still be short, though. By the way, that special Fighting Energy adds more damage to the attack. So this attacks here, looks like he does 90 damage, which I know he was probably wanting to get more off there, but either way. And a huge turn here for Mason. He gets all three Metagross set up on that bench, and this is exactly what you want with this deck. Now the key thing is to get energies in the discard and to get an energy at least on one of these Metagross, which it looks like his hand might be dead here. He VS Seekers, it looks like, for the Bridget again. Grabs a Delmise, which adds 10 damage, 10 extra damage on the hit from Metagross GX, or any metal Pokemon. Grabs another Beltum there, so is he looking to maybe set up a fourth Metagross? Which, looking at that, 250 HP is a lot, especially if you can't one-shot that, which very few decks at this point can do that. It can be done, but it's quite hard. So Mason passes turn here. Trainer's Mail from Shane. Looks like he's got a Lysander there, Nest Ball, Energy, and an N. Grabs a Lysander. Although Mason set up pretty good here on his side, no energy in the discard and no energy in hand, or a draw support really does hurt him here, and could affect the game moving forward. Shane's pretty set up, all things considered. He's got that Whimsicott out, the Minior is getting powered up as well, and the Zygarde and the Active is also getting powered up. So potentially here, Shane could Lysander up one of these Metagross and take a shot at it to just soften it up a bit. He could attach Choice Band here to Zygarde, hit for more, but he decides to go ahead and knock out the Tapu Lele, which actually isn't a bad play either here, because Mason doesn't have anything to play unless he top stacks something here, and looks like he grabs, I think, an Ultra Ball. So he passes, which really stinks, considering that he's got all these Metagross out. Now, in his defense, though, it's going to be tough for Shane to knock these guys out, so he could possibly get lucky here and buy a lot of time. Alright, he attaches to the Zygarde EX and puts a Choice Band now. So now an extra, let's see, 20, 40, 70 damage coming off the Zygarde attack. So I believe hitting for 170 now. Now Shane helps Mason here by inning, which is an interesting play. He didn't have anything in hand to play there on the Metagross side, but I'm not sure what he's searching for here. Maybe a VS Seeker of some kind. So we will see. Sometimes, though, you know, the thing is, you don't want to play an in, but sometimes you just have to, even if you know your opponent's hand is just dead. So 3 cards here for Shane. Mason will take all 6, and let's see if Mason can get something better here off of those cards. Looks like he does have a VS Seeker in hand. Not going to help him yet, but could have some more. So doing 180 damage with that Regirock on the bench. It's easy to forget that sucker's down there. It does add that 10 damage, which can count later in the game. Passes turn now. Mason gets a choice band off the top deck. I can't see his hand completely, so I'm not exactly sure what he has in there. He does put the choice band on the damaged Metagross and plays in, so apparently not a great hand there. And yeah. I think fighting is going to be a bigger thing moving forward here. I'm curious to see how Zygarde GX does. I know I'm working on that deck right now just to kind of play around with it a bit. Not necessarily completely impressed with the deck, but still fun nonetheless. Gardevoir GX, though, is absolutely fantastic, so can't wait to play that out there in the wild. Gets an S-Ball, Level Ball, and an Energy. Choice Band, Ultra Ball, Metagross, and a few other cards there for Mason. Max Potion, oh, that's killer. One of the best cards in this deck, and very clutch most of the time. It makes it even harder than to knock one of these Metagross out, which is possible. Shane can do it, that's for sure, especially with this slow start on Mason's side with still no energy in the discard or on the board. Max Elixir there from Shane, and it does fail, it looks like, so he doesn't get that. He can attach an energy, though, from hand. He might want to put on this Minior, which he does, getting that 190 damage ready to go this next turn. All right, plays another Max Elixir, I believe, there, and fails it. I would assume he'll just hit here for the 180 again. Just soften up that Metagross, and hopefully Mason won't have any way to heal that. He does top deck an Olympia, though, so he may just want to pull this out of the active and bring up another Metagross just to buy some time, because I believe he doesn't have any energy in hand, which is quite a big deal. I don't know exactly how many energy he plays in this deck, but it kind of stinks the game we're recording. He's having some energy troubles, so he's thinking about Olympiing here, getting that Metagross out of the active because it will be knocked out next turn. He could even bring up that Beldum just to buy some time. Doesn't necessarily want to get rid of the Delmise, even though it's not necessarily doing much in this matchup. All right, playing an Ultra Ball. He gets rid of that Olympia card there and the Sycamore. I'm assuming grabbing a Tapu Lele. Yeah, there's a Tapu Lele. We'll Wonder Tag here. I'm guessing an in off of this Tapu Lele. Could see something else, though. Lysander. All right, so he Lysanders up the Whimsicott, which is interesting as well. So actually, this could work in Shane's favor if he gets this attack off, and then next turn he hits the Metagross, and Mason can't get that Metagross out of the active. So this could be an interesting play here. We'll see what else he has in hand. So he does have one energy, it looks like. Opts not to set it down, so that's interesting. Gets a special fighting energy here. We'll place it on that Minior, so that Minior is just getting loaded up. And yes, Shane will do the attack here on Whimsicott. The Wage of Fluff. Again, that allowing him to take 2 extra prize cards here if he gets a knockout. So Mason actually may have put himself in a bad situation here by bringing that up, because now he can retreat that Whimsicott. Okay, so Max Potion, so that definitely helps a lot. Gets the energy down on a Choice Band. Will GX, okay, Algorithm GX here to grab some cards out of his deck. So he needs to get energies in the discard. So I'm assuming he's going to grab some energies here and maybe an Ultra Ball. That way he can get this cycle going with these Metagross. Shane's still not necessarily in a bad position here. He's got 2 really I mean, decent, I guess you could say. Maybe that's a strong word for Minior, but a decent Pokemon there on the bench. Even though Minior is pretty cool, it's a nice, interesting tech in a fighting deck, and a card I think maybe people are sleeping on a bit. Can be pretty powerful. All right, so grabbing a few more cards here. It looks like 5 in total. And there we go. Didn't actually see what he pulled, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Could be a mystery to both of us there. Again, thank you for joining us here on Jaw 7 TV. A pleasure having you. And I know we've not put out a video in a while. We've been crazy busy. My stream schedule's changing. I know Victory Peace will be doing more of the streaming for us. I'm just going to kind of step away from that a bit and focus on these videos. All right, gets a Fighting Fury belt there, has a level ball, looks like a nest ball in hand, and this is going to be interesting. What does he decide to do? He could Whimsicott here with Wage of Fluff, and that's exactly what he'll do. So he couldn't take a knockout here, so he may be just hoping to top deck maybe a Lysander or a VS Seeker for the Lysander in his discard. To knock out a Lele or something like that and take ultimately the win here, yeah, because he only has 3 cards left. So that Tapu Lele that Mason set down on the bench actually could, could be a bad thing here. We'll see. This will be interesting. All right, so he's on a Geotech. That energy up now, loading up this Metagross. Looks like he's going to Lysander up the Zygarde and knock it out with the Delmise. So hitting basically for, let's see, 150, 180, 190? Okay, so Shane promoting, it looks like the Whimsicott here again. Let's see what's he getting in hand. He gets another Fighting Energy. Man, if only he could Lysander up that Tapu Lele and take 3 prizes here, that would be that would be a really cool play. Grabs another Retro Rock, adding another 10 damage to the fighting type's overall hit on the opposite side. You know, really, if I was Shane, he could almost just sit here and keep Wage of Fluff going, hoping that he top decks a VS Seeker for a Lysander or something like that. Does get a second Whimsicott out. That would, in my mind, makes the most sense because he can't one-shot these Metagross, so he's just going to continuously hit, and more than likely Mason's just going to max potion. So he does do the Wage of Fluff and passes turn, so this Whimsicott will feint this turn. Hopefully he can top deck a VS Seeker for a Lysander and knock out that Tapu Lele for game, which would be absolutely insane. But I know Shane's pretty stoked about this deck, even though it's really just kind of a trolley. Hey, I'm going to build this and see what happens. And yeah, pretty successful with it so far. I know at League he's having a good time playing it, so maybe some good ideas here, definitely. All right, I believe playing an in there, so that could definitely help Shane here. He can maybe get that Lysander off this. Mason, they're pulling 4 cards now. It's really anybody's game still, but this Wage of Fluff really could be the ultimate decide factor here in this. So let's see what he gets. Zygarde, Energy, and there is the VS Seeker. Oh, he is so excited. He knows exactly what he's about to do. And this could be absolutely insane. Insane. All right, so he's going to retreat the Metagross, and then I'm assuming Geotech system here for all 3, and we'll knock out this Whimsicott. But I think Shane has game here. All he has to do is Lysander up that Tapu Lele for knockout. So Mason looking at his hand here, seeing if there's anything else he needs to do on this turn. I don't believe he knows the play that's about to happen. So this could be interesting. Still thinking there. with all that HP on the board, man, it would be so hard for Shane to come back in this game just because he can't one-shot anything, no matter how many Regirocks or choice bands or whatever he gets out there. All right, we'll knock out the Whimsicots. I'm assuming he'll bring up the Minior here. Puts another energy on the Minior. No, decides to bring up the Whimsicott. Okay. I actually believe that Whimsicott may have free retreat, possibly. Okay, so he's going to bring up the Metagross, which ultimately, looking at this, he may have been able to take out the knockout there on the Tapu Lele. So he may have missed an opportunity here. I'm not sure exactly, unless I missed something there. But I think in his mind, he's still setting up for this play. So could just come a turn later. The advantage of Lysandering up that Metagross, though, is the Metagross now on the bench sits there with 3 energies. So Mason here would have to max potion those energies away. Of course, it doesn't have a damage on it, so it can't do that. Does have 1 energy in hand here. Interesting. So Mason thinking here about what he's going to do. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting matchup. Kind of an odd matchup as well. I mean, not just because Shane's deck is a little more rogue than this Metagross deck. Attaches the energy, grabs a VS Seeker. Okay, now he's going to go for the Ninja Boy. All right. Another Minior on the bench. Nine. Okay, I see what he's doing here. 240, 260, 280, knocks out the Metagross and takes all 3 prize cards for the game. So there we go. All right, so he had 2 different ways of winning that game. One of them was that. Another win was bringing up that Tapu Lele, unless I just missed something. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this tabletop matchup. Thanks for watching here on Draw 7 TV. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe to our page. And we hope to see you next time. And I promise I'll be putting out more content as we move forward here on our YouTube page. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, have a great day.